Hello, my name is Henrik and this is News Pulse at UATV. Welcome to the daily segment. Today in the episode, Ukrainian middle-range strike drones will force Russian logistics into a lockdown, says Ukrainian Defense Minister Mikhailo Fedorov. A letter from Ukrainian president to America in what is known so far about Zelensky's letter to Donald Trump. Necessity breeds innovation. Learn more about Ukrainian military innovations that literally are turning the tide of this war. Learn the details in a reportage. Ukraine is launching a separate program, logistical lockdown, to scale up middle strike and systematically destroy Russian capabilities at operational depth. The goal is pretty obvious: to further increase the pressure on the Russians in the rear and deprive them of the opportunity to conduct active assault operations. Ukraine has gradually seized the initiative at the front line, raising the cost of advancement for the Russians in the most sensitive place: manpower. If in October the enemy lost around 67 soldiers per 1 square kilometer of advancement, then in April already soared that figure to 179 KIA. Russia is suffering record losses: more than 35,000 soldiers killed or seriously wounded every month, and counting.
In recent months, Ukraine has quadrupled the destruction of enemy logistics, warehouses, equipment, command posts, and supply routes at operational depth. A pattern is already noticeable in the dashboards. The more Russian logistics is destroyed, the fewer assault operations are taking place at the front line. Mikhailo Fedorov, Minister of Defense of Ukraine, on Telegram.
And not only on the front line we see the evidence of middle-range strikes. Effectiveness sales of Belarusian gasoline on the St. Petersburg Stock Exchange skyrocketed to over 18,000 tons in just 1 month, May. A year earlier, the volume was less than 0.3,000 tons. In the last week alone, sales volumes all of a sudden have increased almost fourfold. Brigadier General Andrei Biletskyi, commander of the 3rd Army Corps, one of Ukraine's most capable fighting forces, believes Ukraine has 6 to 9 months to seize the initiative on the battlefield from Russia and strengthen its position ahead of peace negotiations. According to the commander, if Ukrainian forces can increase and sustain their operational tempo for several months in a row, they will be able to seize the initiative globally along the front line and force Russia to abandon its plans to capture the entirety of Donetsk Oblast.
The current state and positions across the entire front line are the best for Ukraine. I won't say it is super optimistic, but it is the best for Ukraine probably since autumn 2022. I believe that right now we see the best trends, meaning they show a certain reduction in casualties, specifically in personnel, nearly zero territory losses, and even the restoration of some sectors.
Volodymyr Zelenskyy sends Donald Trump and U.S. Congress urgent letter warning of Ukraine's critical missile defense shortages. The appeal comes as Russia intensifies mass aerial terror attacks on Ukraine and publicly threatens a new wave of long-range strikes on Kyiv, including attacks on what Moscow describes as Ukraine's decision-making centers.
It is quite rare for the leader of another state to address both the President and Congress of the United States simultaneously with a letter. But the situation now requires action, swift and effective action. It is important that America hear Ukraine. As long as Russia continues to rely on missiles, its interest in diplomacy is not real. We must correct this, and we can do so only together with America. Ukraine is grateful to America for all its support.
Zelenskyy will discuss what Ukraine needs in terms of air defense from Russian terror in Kyiv face-to-face with United States Senator Richard Blumenthal and member of the House of Representatives Jim Himes, who arrived on Kyiv today. Zelenskyy spoke during the meeting about a letter sent to the White House and the U.S. Congress. The members of Congress stressed that they could see what Russia is doing, attempting to intimidate diplomatic representatives to force them to leave Kyiv. However, they said all such attempts only increase the willingness to support Ukraine and maintain a diplomatic presence in the capital.
We are going to go back to Washington and tell the very real stories of the young people that we met today who had been kidnapped by Russian forces, who are now being rehabilitated, if you will, here in Kyiv by Save Ukraine. These stories move people, and I won't pretend to try to convince you that we're going to move everybody. But the vast majority of our colleagues in the House and the Senate are behind doing all that we need to do to deliver the aid.
A real turning point has been what Ukraine has done for the American military in the drone technology it's provided, in the skills that it has literally taught our military and our partners, as I mentioned earlier. What Ukraine has done in unmanned aerial and undersea warfare is truly miraculous. And they have shared all of what they know with the United States. And we ought to be grateful, and I think that is a story that is impressing both the Congress and the President.
United States has given, though, preliminary approval for Poland to produce Patriot missile domestically. Poland has received provisional approval from the United States Department of State, said Deputy Defense Minister Cezary Tomczyk. U.S. stockpiles have recently been depleted by the war with Iran, and missiles in the latest configuration have also been purchased by allies and supplied to Ukraine. So the United States is seeking not only to replenish but also to expand its stockpiles. This is the reason why Washington is looking forward for a manufacturing partner that most likely Poland will become of. One of the keys to the successful operations of Ukrainian defenders on the battlefield, in the air and at sea is the unique technology implemented within the country's military since the beginning of the full scale of Russia's invasion. Leading units of the Ukrainian Defense Forces and manufacturers of high-tech weaponry have showcased their best developments. More in our story for you.
The achievements of the Ukrainian defense complex are not only stripping the Russian aggressor of the initiative on the battlefield and altering the course of the war, but they are also expanding Ukraine's role on the international stage.
This is the infamous P-1 Sun. It is a drone from one manufacturer, and there is also the Ukrainian-made Sting, thanks to which we also destroy a lot of targets in the air. As of today, this is one of the latest modifications of the weapon. It is used both on the Ukrainian front and on the Iranian one.
To know exactly what is needed on the battlefield, Ukrainian manufacturers actively interact with the military personnel who deploy the drones in combat conditions.
In addition to interacting very actively with drone manufacturers, we have our own workshops where we either upgrade the equipment or repair it very quickly. We get all the information firsthand from the front, from the line of combat contact.
The Bullet is another high-speed Ukrainian interceptor drone designed to destroy Russian strike drones modeled after the Shaheds. The task for manufacturers is to accelerate their product so it can also shoot down expensive Russian jet-powered UAVs.
600 to 700 kilometers per hour is the peak speed of a jet-powered Shahed. Usually it flies at a lower speed to save fuel. Accordingly, when it flies at its cruising speed, drones of this type, if we develop them even further, will easily shoot down jet-powered Shaheds.
In turn, Ukrainian airplane-type drones have entered mass production thanks to the low cost of their frame construction and high-tech electronic component solutions. The Bebro drone is easy to pilot and can be used for both reconnaissance and strike purposes.
This drone is actually made from construction materials. It could be assembled in any garage, but you need to have the motors, propellers, some anti-electronic warfare innovations, antennas, and also cameras with you, things that are not sold in hardware stores.
Personal protective technologies are also developing within the Ukrainian army. The Kvertus anti-drone backpack creates an electronic warfare dome with a diameter of about 100 meters around each service member participating in an assault or evacuation operation.
This one is not as heavy as the older models, so you can fit extra water and an additional ammunition load in it, for example. To turn it on, there is just a regular button right here. We press the button, it lights up, and that's it. The system is running.
Roman Lukyanov is a medical engineer with 20 years of experience in prosthetics and creating titanium implants for patients with severe injuries and amputations. Following the start of the full-scale Russian aggression against Ukraine, Ukrainian service members became his patients. Currently, Roman Lukyanov, with the call sign Kirurg, surgeon, serves as a combat medic in the air assault forces.
I believe my primary task is to conduct tactical medicine classes so that our men and women can provide themselves with the most effective care possible.
Ground robotic complexes are increasingly used in the Ukrainian army for evacuation, logistics, engineering, and even combat tasks. The Termit ground robotic complex is a modular transformer that allows military engineers to reassemble the complex for specific situations across different sectors of the front.
For now, this is not a war of transformers. It is a war of people, of infantrymen first and foremost. But such ground robotic complexes allow us to save more lives, deliver food on time, and evacuate a wounded person in time to save a life. They help incredibly, and the future really lies in this, in the development of these technologies.
Reported by Oleksiy Baranovsky, Viktor Holovko from Kiev, UATV News.
That seems to be it for today. My name is Enrique, and thank you so very much for your stance in favor of Ukraine. We feel it, and we need it, and we sincerely appreciate it, trust me. Please also consider maybe like, comment, and subscription to us, UATV. We are doing our best every day. Keep you covered on whatever tomorrow holds for all of us in a bit of Ukrainian perspective as usual. So stay safe, and we'll see you.